Picture this. It's October 28th, 312 AD. The fate of the entire Roman Empire is hanging in the balance, resting on a single battle. We're talking about a moment that will decide not just who wears the crown, but the very soul of an empire. So let's get right into it. And this is our main guy, Constantine. He's a general on the verge of, really, a make-or-break fight for Rome itself. He's in enemy territory, possibly outnumbered, and everything is on the line. And then, legend tells us, in this moment of pure desperation, he sees something. A vision that's about to change, well, everything.
So that really is the million-dollar question for us today, isn't it? Could a single vision actually change the course of history? Was this a genuine miracle, a brilliant piece of propaganda cooked up later, or something else? Let's figure it out.
Okay, to even start to unpack that, we have to look at what people said they saw. And believe me, the story isn't as simple as you might think. Right off the bat, things get complicated. Our two main sources from the time, they don't agree. You have Lactantius, who writes that Constantine had a dream the night before the battle, a voice telling him to paint a heavenly sign on his soldiers' shields. But then you have Eusebius, who says, nope, it was a vision in the sky, much earlier, while the whole army was marching. Two very different accounts.
Now, Eusebius's version is the one that really sticks. And get this, he claims he heard the story from the old man himself, from Emperor Constantine years later. He describes this cross of light hanging over the sun, with those Greek words written across the sky, "In this sign, conquer." I mean, what a promise of victory, right? No wonder this is the version everyone remembers. And this slide just perfectly sums up the whole debate. On one side, you've got the epic story, a divine Christian miracle. But on the other, you've got science. This is something called a sundog. It's a totally natural phenomenon where ice crystals way up in the atmosphere refract sunlight, creating these bright spots and halos. And sometimes, yeah, it can look just like a cross in the sky. So could that be what Constantine and his army actually saw?
Okay, so a vision is one thing, but why are two massive Roman armies about to tear each other apart in the first place? To get that, you have to understand just how chaotic the Roman Empire had become. So there was this system called the Tetrarchy. The idea was simple: rule by 4 emperors. It was actually designed by the Emperor Diocletian to prevent civil wars. Great idea, right? Well, there was one major flaw. It didn't account for ambitious sons. And when powerful men have powerful kids who all want a piece of the pie, the whole thing just fell apart. And you can see just how fast it all went south. Diocletian steps down, and boom, power vacuum. It's a total free-for-all. Constantine's troops declare him emperor way over in Britain. At the same time, Maxentius, who's the son of a former emperor, just grabs power in Rome. For years, these two are circling each other, and finally, in 312, Constantine decides to end it. He invades Italy to take on his rival, who, just to make things more complicated, is also his brother-in-law. Classic family drama. All right, so that brings us to the showdown, the battle itself. We're right outside the walls of Rome, along the Tiber River. This is a huge gamble. So let's look at the tail of the tape here. The armies are pretty evenly matched, size-wise. Constantine has the veteran troops, the battle-hardened legions, but Maxentius, he's got the home field advantage and the legendary Praetorian Guard. But here's the really weird part. Maxentius decides to meet Constantine in an open battle. Why is that weird? Because twice before, he'd won by just chilling inside Rome's massive walls and waiting for his enemies to give up. This time, for some reason, he risks everything. So, why the change of heart? Well, it might have come down to a prophecy. Maxentius goes and consults the Sibylline books, these ancient prophetic texts, and they tell him this: on October 28, an enemy of the Romans would perish. Now, he's totally confident they're talking about Constantine. Plus, October 28th just so happens to be the anniversary of when he took power, so he thinks the stars are aligned and marches his army out of the city. And wow, was that a mistake. Constantine just completely outgeneraled him. His cavalry smashes through Maxentius's horsemen on the flanks, then his infantry starts this relentless push forward. Suddenly, Maxentius's army is trapped with their backs to the Tiber River, which is, tactical lesson number 1. Never do that. Their only way out is over the main Milvian Bridge and a shaky, temporary bridge they'd built right next to it. And that escape route, it turned into an absolute death trap. As the soldiers panicked and tried to flee, that temporary bridge just collapsed. It couldn't handle the weight.
thousands of men were plunged into the river. I mean, you can just see the pure chaos of that moment in this carving. It was a total, crushing victory. Constantine had won Rome, and he did not waste a single second making sure everybody knew who was in charge now. And what about Maxentius? In all that chaos, weighed down by his own armor, he either got thrown from his horse or tried to swim for it, and he drowned in the Tiber. Just like that, the ruler of Rome was gone.
So the next day, Constantine makes his grand entrance into the city. And to send a message, a really clear, really brutal message, they fished Maxentius's body out of the river, cut off his head, and paraded it through the streets on a spear. You can't get much clearer than that. There's a new boss in town.
And this is where Constantine showed he was more than just a great general. He was a savvy politician. He immediately calmed down the Roman Senate, promised them their power back. He showed mercy to most of Maxentius's supporters, but, and this is a big but, he got rid of the Praetorian Guard for good. They were Maxentius's biggest backers, and he wasn't taking any chances. Then, just a year later, he issues the Edict of Milan, officially ending the persecution of Christians across the empire.
So all of this brings us right back to where we started. What about that vision? What did it all really mean for Constantine and for the future of Rome?
Well, if you want clues, a great place to look is the money. Look at his coins. On the left, we've got a coin from 313 AD. That's a full year after the battle. And who's on there with him? Sol Invictus, the pagan sun god. But then, fast forward to about 327 AD. Look at the coin on the right. The whole vibe has changed. Now he's gazing up at the heavens, a pretty clear reference to that vision, right? It really suggests his public embrace of Christianity was a gradual thing, something that evolved over time.
Of course, a lot of modern historians are pretty skeptical of the whole miracle story. People like John Julius Norwich basically say, look, if a giant cross appeared in the sky in front of 40,000 soldiers, don't you think someone would have written it down right away? Their theory? The story got bigger and better over time. It was a fantastic piece of propaganda to prove his rule was blessed by God. And let's be honest, claiming God is on your side is a pretty powerful political move.
But here's the bottom line. Whether it was a miracle, a weird weather event, or just a really good story told later, the result is the same, and it's undeniable. Winning this single battle gave Constantine the power to completely change the religious direction of the Roman Empire. He paved the way for Christianity to go from a persecuted sect to the dominant religion of the Western world.
So what are we left with? A genuine miracle? A brilliant piece of propaganda? Or just a lucky coincidence? Was the course of history truly bent by a divine sign at the Milvian Bridge? Or was it just bent by a very clever, very ambitious man who knew a good story when he saw one? It's a question that makes this moment one of the most fascinating puzzles in all of history.